cover story. As the Modi government hits a 3-year mark, we are going to be taking a look as to how his being in office has affected the political narrative of the country. Prime Minister Modi took office after a decade of UPA government. He is also the second BJP Prime Minister to take office. But it is not to Prime Minister Vajpayee that Modi is often compared to, but to another Congress leader, Indira Gandhi. So when we take a look at his tenure in office, we are also going to be seeing as to how fair this comparison really is. Since Prime Minister Modi ran a very high voltage campaign, his taking office came with very high expectations. He had grabbed the imagination of a voter, tired of the scams and corruptions in the UPA regime. Moreover, that was a government that was high on arrogance of office and seemed to have lost connect with the people. Here instead was a man who spoke directly to the masses and seemed to have the pulse of the people on his fingertips. The win was not just historic, it was also emotive. For in picking Modi, the chai wala, the common man was convinced that he had picked one of his own.
अडवाणी जी ने एक शब्द प्रयोग किया, मैं अडवाणी जी से प्रार्थना करता हूं कि वो शब्द उपयोग न करें। उन्होंने कहा, नरेंद्र भाई ने कृपा की। क्या मां की सेवा कभी कृपा हो सकती है? कतई नहीं हो सकती। जैसे भारत मेरी मां है, वैसे ही भाजपा भी मेरी मां है।
The BJP's run of good luck held as it swept Maharashtra and Haryana elections. It did hit a road bump in Delhi and Bihar, but soon bounced back with a mammoth win in Uttar Pradesh. Their win in the Hindi heartland was really the icing of the cake in Modi's 3-year celebrations.
Today is a day of accountability. We in the BJP and NDA are accountable for our 3-year performance. In 3 years, we have given the nation an honest, scam-free government, a decisive leader, pro-poor thrust on governance, and for the first time in history, we have become the fastest growing large economy for all these 3 years.
पिछले 3 सालों में अच्छे दिनों के सपने पिरोकर जिस तरीके से इस देश के हर नागरिक के जीवन को असहाय के रूप में तब्दील सरकार ने कर दिया है, उसके आधार पर आज इस देश की 125 करोड़ जनता बुरे दिन से अच्छे दिन में तब्दील करने की आशा और सपनों को चूर चूर करके सरकार ने छोड़ दी।
What made the UP win all the more astounding is that it came on the heels of one of Modi's most audacious reforms, demonetization. On 6 November, on the eve of the UP elections, Modi announced a move to curb black money. He said he was going to ban Rs 500 and Rs 1000 notes. Instead, he introduced new 500 rupee notes and new 2000 rupee notes. This move has certainly given him political dividends in Uttar Pradesh, but has it worked economically? And has it achieved its goal of curbing black money and its use in terrorist activities? The Congress says no.
What was the purpose of demonetization? 3 things he had told. One, it is going to break the backbone of terrorists. It is going to make Naxalites hungry of cash. And thirdly, all the fake currency will be deleted or removed from the Indian economy or monetary market. 8th of November last year, demonetization was introduced. After 2 months, we expected that whatever aims and objects have been announced by the Prime Minister going to be achieved. Terrorism going on, rather it has increased. Particularly cross-border terrorism is right now on the high. Our own terror camps are being attacked. Our army jawans are not feeling secure these days. More than 2,000 army centers are insecure and the government is not able to provide anything to them. Naxalism, Sukma incident is latest example. It is not under control. Fake currency, every day, every other day we read that 2,000 note fake currency has been seized somewhere. So on all these three fronts, you are completely failed. You brought 2,000 note. You told that 1,000 bigger note, bigger currency, bigger denomination notes are basically source of black money. That is why he announced that 1,000 note will be invalid now. Then what was the purpose of bringing 2,000 note?
The entire criticism was that it has troubled the people of this country. That there is anger in the people, that this was a worthless exercise. But what was the reality? The reality was that across the board, everybody welcomed this. Why? Because there's a desire to clean the system. A system which had rotted for 70 years, where there was a complete parallel economy running, which was bigger than the official economy. Now, trying to rein in that required a monumental effort and required political courage. Because the fallouts could have been anything. But it's Mr. Modi. Irrespective of what the political consequences are, he did what he thought was right.
Well, I think it is a wise move. And I think it's also part of a series of steps. This is, they announced an amnesty before this. They have had a number of legislations for the real estate sector. Then GST is coming. All these are really going to promote transparency in the economy.
Another achievement of the Modi-led government is its clean track record. Unlike the scam-ridden UPA, so far none of Modi's ministers have any major corruption charges against them. This is a record that the BJP is proud of and an assumption that the Congress disagrees with.
I can't accept that the government is having any clean image. Prime Minister himself facing corruption charges. A diary was found during the income tax raids in which it was mentioned that Mr. Prime Minister, who was then earlier Chief Minister, took money from Sahara Company and Birla Company. All of a sudden, somebody goes to court and court said that no, this chapter we cannot discuss. Why? Our Prime Minister is not above law. And the court has, if at all court has to give some verdict, the court should have heard the arguments from the both sides. A proper investigation was required in the matter. But our Prime Minister is so clean and so sensitive that he never bothered to ask any investigating agency to investigate in his own matter.
Can there be a more frivolous argument than this? At the end of the day, it is the judicial process which determines wrongdoing. And if the process itself says no, there is no wrongdoing, then what is the argument? Even in the UPA times, it is only when the court gave a ruling against Raja that he was removed when he was jailed. Even in the coal scam, when the court intervened and said no, there is wrongdoing. So every UPA scam was basically backed by a judicial pronouncement of wrongdoing. Because before that they kept denying it. So now here in this case when the court says, look, there is no wrongdoing, they say no, you must investigate.
Is Vyapan not a corruption scam? And has Prime Minister taken action against Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who was also the Medical Education Minister? may we ask the Prime Minister, under what circumstances did Shrimati Vasundhara Raje submit an affidavit for a fugitive in favor of a fugitive from law?
But after the raids on Chidambaram and Lalu, especially on a day when the Congress had planned its mega press conference to target the government on its 3-year track record, there is a feeling within the opposition that the government had planned these as a vendetta to stifle the opposition. In a statement, P. Chidambaram, the former UPA finance minister, even alleged that the raids were conducted because the government wants to silence my voice. Chidambaram, as you know, writes a weekly column where he regularly attacks the government. To rebut this charge, the government fielded Cabinet Minister Piyush Goyal.
The other leader will be accountable for his sunstroke. His columns are of no significance to the nation. They did not set the Yamuna on fire.
During his campaign speeches, Modi had promised to create 50 million jobs by 2020. But instead of strategizing and more job creation, economists point out that the main work of the Modi government has been to stabilize the ship after demonetization rocked it. Did Prime Minister Modi promise more than he could deliver? Well, the BJP begs to differ.
Narendra Modi government is hugely failed on the front of unemployment. He had promised that he will provide employment to 2 crore people, 20 million people every year. As a matter of fact, in the first year of his regime, 3-4 lakh jobs were created. 2015, 1 lakh something. And this year, last year, just 1 lakh. Every month in our country, 1 million youth joins job market. In that sense, 1 crore 20 lakh people, new job seekers are moving around for the jobs. So instead of creating more jobs, the policy of the government has forced various companies, various factories to lay off its own employees. For example, IT sector, which is the biggest job giving sector. It's a sunrise sector. But we have just come to know that Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, all these companies are going to lay off their employees, their engineers on a huge level. 56,000 was the last digit. Somebody told me that it may go up to 1 lakh.
7.2 crore people have been given loans for self-employment under the Mudra scheme. Now, when they start their own enterprise, is this not creation of jobs? Self-employment is equivalent to any job. Is this a mean accomplishment? And if people do not want to acknowledge this as an accomplishment, then I think everybody understands how silly a charge it could be.
What Modi has succeeded in doing is to create a perception of stability, governance and a strong leadership. All the 3 criteria were missing during the UPA. He has restored dignity to the office of the Prime Minister, taken some bold decisions like demonetizations and implemented GST, and although he hasn't delivered on all that he has promised, the aura that saw candidate Modi being elected to office still remains undented. He may not have delivered on the tangibles, but on the untangibles, the promise of Achhe Din, he seems to have delivered.
You know what they say about politicians, they always campaign in verse, but they're forced to govern in prose. And that's true for all politicians, not just Modi. If you look at what Modi promised as a campaigner, there was a set of tangibles and a set of intangibles. The tangibles were more industries, more jobs, women's safety. The intangible was Achhe Din. How do you evaluate the intangible? Looks like he has definitely delivered on intangibles.
Papers there. He's ready to evaluate.
He's definitely delivered on the intangible. People feel that they've got something, a government that functions. There's a faith. It's a faith-based support to the government and to Modi's rules. So definitely he's delivered on that.
Now, as a matter of fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is still in the election campaign mode. We always call him Prachar Mantri rather than a Pradhan Mantri. Because he is not ready to listen to the people of this country. One-way traffic chal raha hai. Man ki baat is nothing but a one-way traffic. When Sukma incident take place, when our army jawans are beheaded, At that time, when he is giving lecture on Man Ki Baat, he is not referring all those issues. So Narendra Modi came to power in India with a lot of tall promises, but after 3 years, if anybody wants to assess his performance, he will come to know that on every front, Modi government has failed.
The opposition, of course, has been claiming that under the Modi government, the secular voice has been stifled. Dissent is now being seen as sedition, liberalism is derided and has been replaced by a strong, all-pervading sense of nationalism, whereby if you question anyone from the army to the RBI governor, you are considered anti-national. But is the Congress overreacting?
अगर कोई व्यक्ति या कोई दल या कोई नेता इस पर चर्चा करे तो उसे देशद्रोही का दर्जा दिया जाता है। यह सरकार सिखाने की कोशिश करती है कि क्या खाया जाए, क्या सीखा जाए, क्या पढ़ा जाए, क्या पहना जाए। एक रेजिमेंटेड सोच विचारधारा के आधार पर यह सरकार अपनी नीति आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश करती है।
Why are you required to prove your loyalty? Because you appear to be disloyal to this nation. I'll give you 2-3 examples. When the surgical strike took place, show me an Indian who was not proud of it, who did not feel vindicated, who did not have the satisfaction that a hostile neighbor who's like an enemy today has been taught a lesson. But here is this party. Here is a party which says, hey, don't feel proud about it. No, this is not taking place. Now, if a party plays the role of what Pakistan is expecting a party to play, do you think the issue of nationalism will not come up? In the JNU campus, you had a slogan shouting like, Bharat tere tukde honge, inshallah, inshallah. There were people saying, Afzal Guru, hum sharminda hai, tere qatil zinda hai. And you had a Rahul Gandhi going there saying the government is trying to suppress the voice of students and this is anti-nationalism. Now, do you think people of this country will not pose a question? Are you patriotic? You are siding with elements which are saying Bharat tere tukde honge, inshallah, inshallah.
Well, we need to take a short break, but when we come back, we are going to come back and continue to take a look at Prime Minister Modi's 3 years in office. Welcome back to Cover Story as we take a look at the highs and lows of Prime Minister Modi's 3 years in office. Demonetization has also been linked with India's plans to go digital. To promote a digital cashless economy, the central government has announced a number of incentives along with launching its own app, Bheem, to enable digital transactions. How successful has this move been towards a digital India?
With Aadhaar Pay, we've developed the interoperable software for Aadhaar Pay. So everyone who has a smartphone will actually become a walking ATM. So, if I have a mobile, if I have a smart mobile, I just need to fix this with a small little equipment like this, and I put my thumb impression here, Okay. So with this gets linked to your mobile. This gets linked to your mobile and this your thumb impression. And you can then, every single Indian will become a walking ATM. So in rural areas where there are no mobiles, the micro ATM will serve that purpose.
The banks are coming out with new rules. You cannot keep less than 5,000 rupees in your account, otherwise you'll be fined. You cannot use ATM cards more than 3 times in a month, otherwise you will be fined. You know one thing, in a new rule, they have said that if you use a credit card, you cannot pay the credit card payment if it is less than 2,000 rupees in check. If you are paying in check, you will be fined.
One thing that Modi has definitely achieved is an aura that he is here to stay. Especially after Uttar Pradesh, most have given him a walkover in the 2019 general elections as well. The opposition, of course, is trying to get his act together and is also trying to spearhead a Modi versus rest front, with Sonia Gandhi herself leading the initiative. But will they manage to put together a credible front?
And we are ready to present that alternative viewpoint to this country, which is an antithesis to one man rules, one autocracy of an individual, and heaping upon people of this country, forcing upon people of this country a set of principle and ideology that is not acceptable to the majority of India.
I often remember a line that my father-in-law used to tell Sukhbir all the time, that don't try and pull your opposition down, set your target so high that the opposition can't match that. And I think that really is true here. All the opposition seems to do is try to pull Mr. Modi down, and Mr. Modi is just going from success to success and drawing his targets and his victories even higher. And I think that's the way to go about it. Let the opposition do their job, but you stick to doing what's yours. And today the fact of the matter is that there's nobody in the opposition, even a united opposition can't match up to him. And that's why there's no opposition. It's not that there's no opposition because the opposition doesn't have capable people. It has many capable people, but Mr. Modi just happens to be way more capable than any of them put together.
For any government, the midpoint comes with its own harsh reality check. But for Prime Minister Modi, the midpoint of 3 years in power has come with its own green signal to go ahead. It does seem that this is partly because of Prime Minister Modi's own personality and his governance style, and partly because of the fact that there simply is no opposition. There is no viable alternative to take on the Prime Minister. Well, on that note, we're going to end this show. Thank you for watching Cover Story. We'll see you again same time next week.